I just spent 8 hours in a movie theater to watch 3 new movies to review for you. You're going to be seeing the first review today, Monday, but make sure to stick around for Wednesday and Friday where you will see the other 2 reviews. Today we're going to be talking about the live-action adaptation of How to Train Your Dragon. But before we get into today's review, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on push notifications, but let's get into today's review. I'll be honest, I was worried for the live-action adaptation of How to Train Your Dragon. It was kind of weird that we were getting a live-action How to Train Your Dragon. The cartoon is already a masterpiece and one of the best animated movies ever, so I was a little bit worried as to if they were going to be able to really capture what made the animated movie so good. And of course, over the years with the live action adaptations that we've gotten mostly from Disney, they've all, maybe not all, but most of them, like 90% of them have been absolute garbage. Most recently, the live action Snow White was just unbearable. Well, actually the most recent was Lilo and Stitch, which was a fine, cute movie, not that great, but Snow White was absolutely dreadful. But How to Train Your Dragons is DreamWorks' first live-action adaptation, so I was very interested to see what they were going to be able to do with this adaptation. I'll just say it that I did actually really enjoy this movie. I mean, it's seriously just a shot-for-shot remake of the original, which in a sense it's like, okay, why did they make this movie? But in another sense, I really can appreciate how much effort they put into really emulating what made the first one so great, because if you change too much, then it's going to make the story, that much worse. But if you go ahead and just do the exact same thing, just in live action, you really don't have much to lose. Now, I do not like it more than the original. The original is still just an absolute masterpiece, even though the live action adaptation is a pretty much shot-for-shot remake, but I still very much enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good. I think the visuals are great. I think the cinematography was really well done. I think the set design was great. And I think the designs of the dragons is so good, especially Toothless. Toothless looks very, very, very great. This movie is going to piss people off. This movie is going to piss people off. I already know of some people that are pissed off by this movie, but I think it's so good. And I don't think that it deserves to be in that realm of AI is, taking jobs from people. AI is, uncreative and just, emulating stuff based off of coding and stuff. But that is not the same as what the live action How to Train Your Dragon is doing. It actually is giving people jobs. It's the same creative team from the original movie, but they're just trying to make it in live action, which I think is a really cool thing to do if they do it correctly, which fortunately this movie did do it correctly. But I also think that it is definitely a money grab. There is no other reason to make this movie besides needing to make more money. And this movie is definitely going to make a pretty penny, which, that's kind of just Hollywood. Hollywood is always after money, but I really do like how this movie was actually good. And I don't care if I'm saying that this movie is good because it's just like the original. I would so much rather see a live action adaptation that's good, but just in a shot-for-shot remake from the original, than a bad live action adaptation that changes things that shouldn't be changed from the original, which is what makes it bad. I'm hoping this is what they do with the live action Moana, which, if we're talking about live action remakes or adaptations that shouldn't be made, that one definitely shouldn't be made because the original isn't even a decade old. So that's a little bit skeptical, and I hope they go in the same route of How to Train Your Dragon, in which they just don't change absolutely anything. One of the main things that I was mostly concerned about with the live action adaptation before seeing it in theaters was Mason Thames as Hiccup. I didn't think that he would be able to capture the same essence as Jay Baruchel was able to voice the character of Hiccup. I think Jay Baruchel really gave Hiccup this very scrawny and kind of in a lesser sense of the word, worthless character. I mean, he really gave the character just a persona that's just, I'm weak, I don't know what to do. But Mason Thames already seems like a character that is tough and stuff. So I was worried that Hiccup's character in live action adaptation wasn't going to be as good as Hiccup in the original, and he's not, but I was proven wrong because Mason Thames does actually do a really good job as the role of Hiccup. When I crap on a movie, I crap on a movie, and I really try not to. So when I crap on a movie, you know that I just really did not like it at all. I always try to give movies the benefit of the doubt, and I always try to praise things for how they are. If there was a movie that was completely generated by AI, I wouldn't even give it a second glance or even a first glance. That is unacceptable. But a movie such as a live-action adaptation does actually take the hard working hours for people that actually care about what they're putting work into. It doesn't matter if a studio is making a movie just because they want to make money. The people that they hire actually genuinely want to make something good, which is why they got the same director from the original How to Train Your Dragon movie. They have this sense of wanting to make something great, even though they're just adapting something that's already been made. And if you go into this movie really with that understanding of, yeah, this is just a live action adaptation, don't expect anything to be greater or worse than the original. I mean, it's really just a shot-for-shot remake. I was actually blown away as to how shot-for-shot remake it was. I mean, I was hearing so many people saying like, oh yeah, it's identical to the original How to Train Your Dragon movie, but I was like, they'll change some things. I mean, maybe they'll even change the vibe of some things, but no. It's crazy how, I mean, it's actually kind of impressive how they completely just made it the exact same movie, except it's in live action. And I think it's really good. I was crying. I mean, this movie was actually bringing me to tears. I was crying for Hiccup, even though I already knew that he wasn't going to actually be dead, you know, at the end of the movie, when he loses his leg. I was crying. This movie, actually emotionally moved me. So they did a very fantastic job. And I will give the respect to where respect is earned. And this movie definitely earned my respect for doing something different by not doing something different. You know what I mean? If you're going to make a live action adaptation, don't do some bull crap in which you are taking something out to push a certain message onto an audience, or take something out and change something because you're really trying to change the motivations of a character or the characteristics of a character. Snow White. If you do that, your audience is going to automatically just completely shut down from the movie. But if you take a beloved classic such as How to Train Your Dragon and do something in which you don't change anything, people are going to love it. People are going to love it. Fans of How to Train Your Dragon aren't going to be like, oh god, I hate the live action adaptation because it's just like the original. Who's going to say that? I think the live action How to Train Your Dragon is very good, very fun. I mean, it's just like the original. I would so much rather just watch, the original cartoon, because I think people also have this mentality of like, if they have to make a live action adaptation, that like just sends a message that the original wasn't artistic enough or isn't art, so they had to actually make it art by making it live action. And I think that that's a silly argument. I mean, it kind of does fit into the narrative of like they just do it to make money, but at the same time, it's everything's art. If an artist is inspired by one of Vincent van Gogh's paintings, like Starry Night, if an artist is inspired by Starry Night and they're like, you know what, I really want to challenge myself and try to emulate this piece of art, but not change anything. I'm gonna print out the Starry Night and I'm gonna put it on the wall, and I'm gonna get a canvas and I'm gonna try my hardest to emulate it as much as possible. But it's gonna be from my hand, from my paintbrush, so it's gonna be different in its own right. And then they're very proud of what they painted. They're very proud of how they were able to emulate something as masterful and well known as the Starry Night. And they're so proud of it. And then they go show people and they're like, that's not art. That's not art. Like machines literally print out pictures, just like how you printed out the Starry Night to put on the wall so that you could paint it. It's not art. It's not art. Shame on you. Shame on you for trying to, paint something because you were inspired by something. You see how mean that sounds? And no, I don't mean go paint the Starry Night and then sell it for money, because no, that you don't do, because they own the rights to How to Train Your Dragon, so they can remake it as many times as they want. The main idea is You're not going to go up and tell someone that their art sucks if they're really challenging themselves to emulate something else. You're just not going to do that because it's not right. I really liked the live action How to Train Your Dragon, and I think fans of How to Train Your Dragon are going to like it too. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on push notifications, but that does bring it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of it. I appreciate every single one of you, but remember, your movie moment is right around the corner. See you in the next video.